Hello, hello, hermosuras. Welcome to our show today. You are listening to KZAA 96.5 FM LP. You are listening to Ana Rosa Rizzo, Siobhan Hoover, and Ali Cortez on Que Madre, where we're talking all about just wellness, self-love, empowerment. We are all about the sisterhood, and this is in partnership with Warrior Mother and Bienestar CCC. So grateful that you're listening to us. And I can't do it justice for the theme. This is such a good theme. So I'm going to pass it on to this amazing goddess, Siobhan. Go for it. Tell us what we're talking about today.
My goodness, Allie. Well, thank you for that intro. So today we are talking about devaluing yourself, and you need to stop it. Stop devaluing yourself.
Stop.
Yes, this includes there's a whole umbrella. But this includes something like giving yourself permission to not always have it together, but loving yourself anyway, making decisions based on other people's feelings instead of tapping in with your own and really checking in with your own body and how that feels for you. Manifestation practices. So we've got a lot to cover today. I'm excited.
I'm so excited too. Anna, what are your thoughts on this? You gorgeous divine mujer.
I can relate to all of it, every single part of that. So I'm trying to be better while also giving myself grace that I'm not going to get it all right away. Because I feel like even with therapy, right, we can be perfectionists. Like my therapist taught me some tools, and if I don't use her tools every single day, then I'm like, damn, I didn't use her tools today, and I get down on myself. Like I'm even a perfectionist about how I deal with my feelings now. And it's a trip because I don't need anything to add to my stress. I need something to help me with that. So when I catch myself doing those things of making decisions based on other people's feelings and not my own, because I think it's a balance. It's like it doesn't have to be one or the other, but you at least have to think about your own feelings in the mix of other people's feelings too, right? And sometimes I don't even do that. So I think especially during the holidays as moms and as women, like we tend to always be the ones as wives, we tend to be the ones to worry about like, oh, am I making this holiday as magical as I can? And I'm not thinking, oh, but did I like have breakfast today? Which I have not, like, did I drink water today? So definitely relating to it all.
It's funny that you said, I mean, well, because I was thinking about we're all in therapy, right? I mean, it's so good. And it's I do mine at the end of the week. So it's kind of this end of the week check-in. And one thing that came up for me last week was my judgment of myself, judging myself. So it's like we all have this internal, talk going on. And yes, the chatter, it's the chatter. And sometimes I'm like, no, don't think that, stop devaluing yourself. Stop it. Stop it. And I tell myself, stop it. And then I'm like, God, why am I getting so down on myself? And so like, I'm judging my own judgment in a way. And it's this weird, downhill roll. But being conscious of it and just kind of taking a second and realizing, oh, wait a minute, wait. I'm gonna take this moment and stop being so hard on myself. Have a little grace, like Anna said, and give yourself, I would say talk to yourself as if you were talking to one of your friends. We are so very hard on ourselves that if we said these things out loud to someone else, it would be really hurtful. Long ago, I had watched a video, the good old internet, had these gals and they would write down things that they wanted to, like the internal talk, and it was so interesting to see because what they did was they wrote it down and then they swapped it. They swapped notes with the other gal, their friends who were in the room, and then they opened them up and read them out loud. And it is terrible. The things that we say to ourselves is very damaging. And so you know, like you said, just the grace and allowing the mistakes to be made, allowing the judgments to be made, but then recognizing it and turning that around and just saying, well, wait a minute, no, I'm worth more than this kind of, you know, self-deprecation and you know, this terrible,
Do you know what I had to do because it was so bad for me at one point? Do you all remember the website Friendster?
No.
That's
Friendster.
how, that's how old I am. So this was before Facebook, but it was like Friendster. It was like Facebook. It's called Friendster, and people would put testimonials on your wall being your page, like about you, and they were always so beautiful and sweet, and I don't know, it just felt like hugs to read them. So I actually ended up printing out my Friendster so that in moments when I was really getting down on myself, I could just look at that and be like, okay, I'm not all the things that I'm telling myself that I am,
Mm.
because this is what other people are seeing. Um, so yeah. So sometimes you got to do what you got to do.
Heck yeah, I'm all about validation. There was a time and place where I was like, I don't want any validation. I just got to depend on my own self. And that's, you know, I've learned through just therapy, through just so many books and through other sources of, yeah, no, we're not meant to do this alone. We really need to, we need our squad, we need affirmations, you know, like constant reminders, because I think, you know, what we're talking about sounds a lot like that, you know, like when you're devaluing yourself, when there is something that you're doing, I'm like, where did I learn that from? I'm going to go to the source. Who taught me to devalue myself? I wasn't born that way. And so I go back, I'm like, okay, so these were the words, these were the stories. And it's been cyclical, right? It's like that person learned to devalue themselves. So I love how we're doing the emphasis, and I love Siobhan, hey, like, stop it. Stop it. And I love Anna's like, if you're on the radio and you're listening to us, she had the finger up and she's like the Fuchi face, like, and I need that. We need that. We need that. Like, there's so many ways of disapproval, but let's disapprove this, you know, like let's go there. It's like with tenderness, of course, but let's interject and say, stop it, right? Because that means there's a cycle there that's been going on for a long, long, long time. And so if we're recognizing, like what Siobhan is saying, that conscious awareness can really uplift us and say, yeah, this is not what I want to continue and pass on. Because it comes out in so many ways. Like maybe we're not even verbalizing it, but we're expressing it in other ways. The choices. I know that's one of our topics within the topic, right? Like how we're making choices. And I firmly have come to understand too that it's learned, and what we did is to overcompensate. What are we trying to overcompensate here? What are we trying, you know, perfectionism really kind of tries to give us that sense of control, and then so that we feel valued. But the truth is we're only kind of, we're in a space where it's just like an empty vessel. It's never gonna be filled enough. And that brings me back to like my pain points and my triggers, which is, you know, my mom. I love her and we have a great relationship now. But I know that there was a time and place when like my job was to make her happy. And I knew that as a child. I was like, if she's not happy, things go wrong. And then the devaluing increases more. I'm not good enough. So my way to overcompensate, you know, to fill in her cup and then fill mine as well, was like to give, give, give. And then that just is like, boom, the stamp for the rest of your relationships as the archetype as of a woman, you know, and what I'm supposed to do and how I'm supposed to provide service and value in this life. And so my mission got really intertwined into like, I have to make others happy and appease to others. And so then I just kept going that cycle. And I'm not going to tell you like, oh, I'm perfect now. No way.
What do you mean you're not perfect?
No, oh my gosh. I had
I'm
a
just
session with my therapist, and she literally was like, this that whole energy is like, stop it. You're good, and stop it. And I was like, okay. And she said something that, you know, what really resonated with me. She's like, you're a good person. You are a good therapist. You're not Spider-Man. And for me, that was liberating. I was like, I'm not responsible for other people's success. I can't climb the mountain for others, right? It's like, I think our light is so beautiful when we are like just lit up in our authentic self and living our truth. and that will transmit to others. And it'll, give energy and affirmation to somebody else for them to also climb the mountain. Different mountains, maybe we're together. I don't know. It depends. But that was to me like, that's right, I'm not Spider-Man. I can't save I can't save my mom, and that came up today, yesterday in a conversation with my brother, and we're like, we're still holding on to that. And how old are we? So yeah.
It's been programmed now, and it's almost like a survival tactic, and same for me, that whole story kind of resonates with me as well. It's like you have these traumatic experiences as a child, and you're like, okay, how do we survive through this? And all of a sudden you become everything to someone, and naturally it's like they know that you're going to be there. They know that you're going to love them no matter what. They don't necessarily realize how much of a crutch you're being made out to be, so it's like, okay, how do we recognize this? How do we combat it? How do we get comfortable with creating these boundaries, with people, with loved ones? How do we do that? That's the question.
How do we do it?
Well, I know that one of the ways that has helped me realize this, and it's a constant reminder, but it's some with facts, right? Because we emotional mind, rational mind, like all this, right? But it's like the facts can help, and it's just to like this radical acceptance of like, you're misreading situations here. And that's hard to hear. Like, I remember when I came to terms with it, I was like, I don't want to know that I'm misreading people. That's like my jam. What do you mean I'm misreading people? And it's like, no, like the reason that there's evidence showing that you're good enough, there's so much out there saying to you that you are good enough, and you're choosing to look at these other areas, right? Other people, projections, other stories. There's just, like, you're misreading something. There's something, like, I don't know if it's ever happened to you, and it's happened to me a couple times where like that person hates me. That person thinks I'm incompetent. That person is, reading me in this way, So like, I'm really putting a story about myself onto somebody else. And then like a couple months later, that person will come up to be like, oh my gosh, I'm so inspired. Like, you are someone who has helped me so much. And I'm like, huge eyebrow raise, like, wait, what? Right. And so I suffered for a long time with that story. And then this person just kind of, just burst my bubble. And it was because I was misreading something. And so I think that can help in creating that conscious awareness that when you're feeling that, to be like, yeah, I must be misreading something here. And where else can I, what other story is here? What other, how can I make sure I'm not also self-sabotaging myself because of this one narrative I chose to believe?
Because it could be projection, right?
Yes.
Because if you're not in a good place with feeling like you actually really do fully love yourself, then that negative image that you have of yourself, you are imagining that other people have it of you as well, because you almost can't believe that you could be anything but that.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And our thoughts are not always, fact. Our thoughts are not always fact.
But
That's
because
something
it's
that I
always
have-
running in our mind, we think it is.
Yes.
Right. And then that leads to like the overcompensating, right? It's like, well, then I have to do more. I have to prove myself more. More. And that's how we go into the overcompensating, when in reality, you could have just set that boundary there and said, I can rest here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good.
One thing that kind of it's coming up in my memory right now is kind of being that everything for everyone, and ensuring everybody else's happiness and everyone else is comfortable, and that sort of thing. And there were times in my life where friends and family, I'm the go-to person for everyone, and it's like they would dump all their problems, and I would almost like take them on as my own, and in that devalue in my own sanity, if you will. But one practice that I learned that might be useful for people is that I would energetically try to like suck out all the bad, like sucking a snake bite, you suck the poison out. It was almost like that. And I would energetically visualize myself drawing all these like bad feelings. So whoever needed that comfort or whatever it was, I was taking on all of that energy. So what I did instead is it was just a switch in the mind, but kind of like, okay, I'm not taking on any of these problems as mine. I am not I'm not going to be the superwoman, the one who has to make everyone happy now. I'm just going to blanket you in love. And I am going to protect my own energy by just creating this, like, I'm going to wrap you in it, and you're just going to feel this embrace, this energetic embrace. And that was one way for me to kind of ensure that I wasn't, kind of giving into the idea that I have to be the person for everyone. That's really hard. It's really hard to do.
Now I'm imagining you as a Care Bear with the Care
Hey,
Bear stare.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's exactly, yes. Just make it rain on him. Make him rain love. Yeah, exactly.
I love that. Oh my gosh, I love Care Bears.
What was your favorite?
All of them.
I like Lionheart.
Yes, I was like, what was the lion one name? Yeah, Lionheart, Sunshine, Shane Bear. It was the purpley one. I can't remember which one that was.
I feel like we now need to make ourselves as a meme with each of us as a Care Bear.
There you go.
So down.
Yeah. 'Cause you're gonna get these hugs and you're gonna get this love. You're gonna get it.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, as what's really landing is like we're just natural consumers, right? We just consume, and so it's nice, but we also stop consuming. So I think that might be a way to, when you're noticing this, that you're like, okay, I'm noticing myself being devalued, and usually that comes in different signs, right? Your body will share some signs, your thoughts, cognitive decline. There's just a lot of like little red flags that are like, there's like little alarms and bells sounding. And when you can recognize that, it's like, okay, it's time to stop consuming, right? I don't have to let this consume me. And that in itself can be really empowering to say, like, I can stop, right? I can pause right here, and just like reflect on it if we have time to reflect on it. Make just even like 5 minutes to like journal about it. Like, this is what I'm thinking. This is what, like really like do the word vomit on paper, and just like review it, and just be like, yeah, this isn't me, right? Or this is not really like, what else is out there? What other stories can I add to this? Where can I find some of the balance between this? Because we could just keep go we're really unfortunately in this way expansive of continuing the devaluing and taking that in, and then we again go back to like the overcompensating, and it's just like we just kind of live in it, and then we're under that wave. So it's kind of nice to like say, hey, you know what, I'm going to like come up for air. I love that style, Siobhan, of like, it's a beautiful way to like stop the consuming of it and just like really bringing that mindfulness, that present moment, that serenity, that like, I surrender to the present moment, and see what silence can teach me. And it's hard. I mean, I don't know about you, but sometimes like it's silent and I'm like, I need to put something on. I don't care if it's a Netflix show or something. There's something has to be running around me to make me feel safe. And it's like, well, silence can be a teacher like what else is coming up forward? Where is this coming from? Being curious about it. And the other way is, kind of doing some of that when you're doing that, when you're becoming present, to just notice the line between your skin, right? And the environment. Like, how often do we go that deep? Like, okay, there's a layer between what's inside of me and then this whole external world outside me. And that can help kind of like, whoa, there is like two worlds happening here. And just noticing like that outline. And then, going kind of like the Care Bear experience, right? Where it's like you let that light start glowing, let that glow, let the light start, kind of lighting up around that layer between you and the world, to just become present and be like, look at this light. Look how much I am exponential by just being present, and stop consuming all the projections that are happening around, like you said, Anna. Absolutely.
Sounds so warm and fuzzy.
On that note, I got an identification. Right. Hello, everyone. You're listening to 96.5 FM KZAA with Que Madre Bienestar CCC and Warrior Mother. And this is Ali Cortez, Siobhan Hoover, and myself, Ana Rosa Rizo Santino. And we're so happy that you're listening to this radio station and that you're with us every week. And maybe you're checking us out on YouTube at your own leisure. But yeah, we're talking about devaluing yourself and how you need to stop it right now. Ya no más, ya basta.
We're done with that. And also giving yourself permission to not always have it together. I think that is huge, especially, during the holidays. It's a stressful time for people. And so just giving yourself the compassion, the love, again, treating yourself like a friend, and loving yourself anyway through whatever it is that's currently plaguing you. Like Ali said, sit in the moment and just breathe. I've taken some time recently to just sit and just notice, and it's like, I'm not controlling my breath. I'm not, I see a thought in my head and I let it like pass by like a little cloud. It's like, oh, there it goes. There it is. And just allow that thought to not sit for too long, almost like a conveyor belt, just, one side to the next. Okay. But noticing how your body feels when you do give yourself the compassion and the permission and the love, a little extra love sometimes. It's important.
So you say goodbye to that bad thought. Farewell.
Yeah.
I see you, but you're not going to stay in me.
Right. And sometimes it's like weird. It's like, what's that noise? Or, like, oh, there's a tingle on my back. What is that? It's sometimes it's negativity trying to seep in, and gotta like almost like take a newspaper, roll it up and smack it out of there, and just no, stop.
Right, because like they are intrusive. These thoughts, these feelings, they are intrusive. So we have to be, setting that boundary with these thoughts too, with our own selves, and say like, no, stop it. Yeah. So as that energy can be intrusive, we have to kind of give that energy back and be like, not mine, not today.
Not today, Satan.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Devil be gone.
Just take the wheel.
Yeah. So, I mean, especially right now, the world, these next couple of weeks, as much as there's, the great promotion and marketing of peace and joy, I have found, especially as I get older, that that's not really true. There's a lot of demands about, we're going to get pulled in different directions, like who gets a gift, who doesn't, can you buy gifts, can you not, inflation, events, why don't you go to this event, why can't you go to this event, or are you going to be alone? Like there's just so you're gonna be pulled in so many directions. So we really want to emphasize that you are such an important human being, and that, you know, what we're sharing here is, you know, for your, you know, kind of like a gift baskets of things that work for us, and that give it a try, give it a try. And if it doesn't work, you know, that's what I love about our voices and our experiences together, that we have so much to share about this. And if there's a nugget here that I'd love to share with you all, and as you're listening and or watching us, perfectionism is abusive. Like we have to tell the story that of what perfectionism really is. The world was never perfect, that it was never meant to be perfect. It's really based on control, and it's out of fear, right? And so perfectionism is abusive.
Mhm.
And when we strive for perfectionism, we really are to the core abusing ourselves. And going back to like, where did we learn this, and then having grace for wherever we learned it as well, that it has been a cycle, and that this world really perpetuates. And it makes me sad to hear about, like, it makes me happy to hear that Friendster was a thing. It makes me sad that it's, you know, just a direction that social media took,
Yeah.
because it can be really, it can help with the devaluing of ourselves. So I wish, you know, and thankfully we have great friends, hopefully, that are sending you positive vibes. And if not, you know, looking around, maybe this is the time to do some math in your social life. What do I add? What do I subtract?
Mhm.
Social media itself, you know, is like that. You know, sometimes we sometimes putting up a photo, you want validation on it, and you're like, okay, some people are counting likes, some people are comparing themselves to others. And if you go through your feed and you're starting to feel down on yourself about anything, I say clean it up. You know, clean it up, clear it out. Whatever it is, you don't need it. I I have to say that I am guilty of being a perfectionist. It has always been like part of my drive. It's a little bit of my Aries, I think. Not to place blame, but
Yeah,
I'm
because
just like,
Gloria's like that too, and she's the Aries.
yes, fiery and red, and always had to be the best. Always had to win everything. I always had to be number one. All, you know, all of these things. And when I learned it was about control and about fear and how others may perceive me, or even how I perceive myself, it was just like, it really took me back. And they say everything derives from either fear or love, and recognizing that and saying, okay, well, how do I how do I come, yeah, you know, it's a constant, like, you're at war with it. How do I combat this? How do I not want to be the best and number one? And you know, it's something that is that is deeply rooted inside, um that I am working out in therapy.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think the only thing that has helped me control it, because I know part of it is that Gloria's an Aries, but I think part of it too is she's observing me in the way that I react when things don't go perfectly. And so I'm trying to catch myself in those moments and be like, nope, Gloria's watching you and she's like absorbing it. So that's my way of being a little bit um, easier on myself, at least externally. Like I have to verbalize, oh no, it's okay. We'll do it better next time, you know, and that way she's not because she'll actually hit herself when she does something wrong. And I have to tell her, no, you cannot hit yourself. You have to love yourself. And we have like a whole moment whenever that happens where we talk to each other about you know, what's going on and how everybody makes mistakes, that there's not one person in this world that's perfect. But even though it's hard for me to keep my perfectionism in check, she is the reason why I'm able to start doing it a little bit better and just not do it as much.
I
Um,
love that.
I think another thing that comes up too during the holidays is grief, because everyone's talking about how happy and joyous it all is. But for those of us who have lost a loved one. For me, it's my daughter, my firstborn, Delita, and my uncle just passed of cancer. And so it's like giving yourself the opportunity to still have that person present in your life, because they never go away. Death is not the end of anything other than just their physical presence. So, what some people do is they'll even set out a table setting for that loved one, or they'll do an altar. Some people just do it for Dia de los Muertos, but some of us, like myself, have an altar up year round. And sometimes for special occasions, I'll dress it up. Like for Christmas, I'll put hollies on the altar, and I'll put, just like little gifts for Adelita. So there's so many things that you can do so that you're not feeling like you're alone without that person, because they are swirling around you. You just don't see them.
Absolutely. I think, well, grief is just it's love persevering. It's like wanting to move. It's an energy. It's an action. And so I love that your ideas and ways to keep them alive. We've got, ornaments that we have of our family members who have passed, and kind of same thing. We tell fun stories about, what happened that one Christmas when dad got that speaker system and like nobody could hear each other because he had it turned up so loud. It's like you have to keep those memories alive, and in that way you are able to express your love, and that way it has somewhere to go. I love that.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah, I agree. I love it so much. And when sharing this and like verbalizing, it helps like move forward with this. And sometimes if you're like, well, I don't know if I should do this or not, as simple as it sounds and as basic as it sounds, it's pretty mighty. Make a pros and cons list, like if you're feeling like, I don't know if I want to try this, I don't know if I want to do this, you know um I'm leaning into it but I'm not too sure. Make a pros and cons list. And pros and cons list can work in so many ways. Like if someone is like, well, should I try a different way of should I make an altar, should I not? Make a pros and cons. What are the pros? What are the cons? And then you can make that decision that feels, true to you. But then you can kind of see like you know, the whole wide picture of it. Because sometimes we're zoomed in. And so one way to kind of zoom out and see the bigger picture of things is to just sit down and do a pros and cons list. It takes, 5 to 10 minutes, depending on where you're at. But it could be part of your self-care practice too when it comes to decision making, because your decisions are you. Your decisions are take you places. um and I know that's something, it's like to help with the valuing of yourself. And if you're in that place of like devaluing, to like pause in that moment and say like, well, where do I want to go? And these are some ideas. And talking about pausing, I'm just gonna pause right here really with all my beautiful friends here, and we'll just remind you that we are on KZAA 96.5 FMLP. You are listening to the wonderful, amazing Ana Rosa Rizzo, Siobhan Hoover, and Ali Cortez on Que Madre in partnership with Bienestar CCC and Warrior Mother. So glad you're here joining us today, and un gustazo tenerte. We're talking about, stop it. Stop devaluing yourself.
Love it. To piggyback on what you were just saying to Ellie, giving yourself the permission, be comfortable with saying no. The value of no has become really strong for me this year. And it was always a yes person, and I realized, I think through COVID, it was like, I have too much on my plate. I have to be able to say no sometimes. But it wasn't in my vocabulary because I'm too busy people pleasing and trying to make everybody happy. So, for anyone listening out there, really just being comfortable with just saying no and not having to give an excuse or a reason. Maybe it can just be sometimes like, I don't want to in your decision making. I think that's a perfectly valid, answer. No, thank you. Goes a long way. But that has been a real it's it's been a really strong word for me this year that has allowed me some peace of mind and has freed up a lot of time. So for those listening, we tend to just say yes because we're making these decisions based on what other people want and other people's needs. But again, checking in with oneself and determining if that's something that's going to work for you or not, and whatever decision that is, that's key. So
Well, and the way that helps it be a little bit easier is that your no's help make more room for your yeses, right? And the things that you absolutely do want in your life and what you do want to do. So maybe this brings us to the manifestation part of what we're going to talk about today, because I know Allie took some really brave steps this year and she is thriving. So can you share with us like how you manifested that? And because you're busier now than ever, like I thought, you were gonna take a little breather, but nope, you're like even more busy than ever. I saw that you were the keynote speaker for the Future Leaders of America Family Day.
Yes. Oh, that was such a beautiful experience. And I think what I can share about that is, it's so I can start off with, for example, like my brother was saying, like, oh, you don't even try that much and you get what you want. And I was like, nah, bruh. I sat down 5 years ago and made a plan, knowing that anything can happen in 5 years. So that might not happen. But 5 years ago, I sat down. I was like, I need to have a North Star. I need to go in a direction. So in that, some of the things came to be and some didn't. They got better because, again, making those decisions. But manifestation is being courageous enough to ask what you really, really, really want and putting it out there. And then when you see things that, glimmer like that, what your heart's desire is, to just take a look at it and see, is it doable? Is this the right thing? Is this fool's gold? So I think one of the things I was able to manifest was like, I realized that, oh, that's so interesting. The number 1111 just came up right now. So so I love the work that I was doing. I just knew that the way I was being depleted, the way that I was in the direction that I was going, and observing my loved ones around me as well, and seeing how the impact and what I was transmitting wasn't really what I wanted for myself and what I wanted to like leave, in this world. So I left my full-time job, that kind of like that security of like I'm fulfilling my purpose, and I'm also, being compensated and I don't have to worry about certain things. And I took the leap of starting my own business just a couple months ago. And it's been scary. It's been, moments where I want to like spiral, wake up kind of like, how am I going to do this? But I'm figuring it out, and I have faith. And so it kind of requires just that, what I had shared in one of our episodes. It's like there's air bubbles and you don't see them. Doesn't mean they don't exist. So when you're feeling you're dipping, you'll find an air bubble. There's something there for you that's gonna bring you back up and let you see the whole, kind of enjoy the moment and the big view of, flying without a motor, without fuel. So that was the leap, and that has led to me really kind of diving more into what is my niche, my true calling, which is to talk about mental health with families, with like bring more holistic viewpoints and decolonizing mental health, and making it more accessible. So I can say that, that faith, that leap is still scary. Every day is still scary. And anything can happen. But when I get invited to do events like that, like next week, I'll be also talking to families about, youth and mental health. And so it's like, I love this. I'm so excited to be doing this. So one of my fears of leaving where I was at was that I wouldn't be able to be doing what I love. And it turns out that I could do it more. And it's been more busy, but it's not the crisis kind of busy. It's not the like, just frazzled busy. It's good busy, and it's built. It's like building busy, you know, like, okay, and I have moments where I can stop, and I have moments where I can have coffee in the morning and not rush into the car and go go go. um so it feels like a dream come true in that way. And but yeah, there's a lot of work to be done.
I was gonna say, Ellie, it's because you're an EV, so you don't need fuel. Ya tienes las pilas bien puestas.
Bien puestas.
How about you, Siobhan? You've also been taking brave steps and are just as busy.
Yeah, I know. Well, I think part of it, and what I love about Ollie is she mentioned faith and just like believing that the next thing will be there. And so many years ago, same thing, I was like corporate job, the 8 to 5. I was like, this cannot be it. This is not it. Great money, but it's not it. And at the time, my boyfriend was just like, you just gotta take the leap, you just have to take the chance and see what happens, but I feel like I'm a cat, like I always land on my feet no matter what. And so having that faith in myself, believing that the business that I started was I was working with preschoolers. I provided an enrichment program, which I still love and miss my little friends. In any case, but it allowed me more time with my own children, because then I was able to, fix my schedule to where I wanted it to be. And right now, things, I tell you, things, I got offered a job with a nonprofit. I said no 3 times. No, I don't think it's going to work. My schedule's crazy. I've got the gym, I've got my teen group, I've got my kids, and somehow it all came together and it all worked out. But it's the belief that it will. And when it's so cliche, when one door closes, the other one opens. And I think once you put something out there into the universe and say, this isn't working for me anymore, and I'm looking for what's next, I think that the universe conspires in your favor. I don't know. I feel like I'm a favored person for whatever reason. Like I feel very blessed sometimes because things come my way, and I'm like, yeah, of course I'll be on the radio show. I'll do this, and things it aligns. It all aligns with what I want to do, who I am, what I believe in. So part of it is just, again, feeling that feeling. So a large part of manifestation that I've learned is just to feel as if you've already had it. Imagine what it would be like to have that dream job, or to imagine what it would feel like internally. What emotions would you feel? And allow yourself to feel that and sit in it for a second and feel how yummy that is. And then it's like, okay. And then all of a sudden, things start moving, the cogs start turning, and before you know it, it spits out exactly what you want it to be.
Yeah, I have my dream job right now, and I'm very grateful. And I like to feel like I manifested it in some way.
Oh, you did.
Yeah, girl, you did.
Yeah, don't downplay that.
Manifestation power, girl.
Yeah, do not downplay your power, girl.
Stop it.
Yes, stop it.
Stop it.
Shame or judgment. We're just
Can we also say something about like the power of being in a sisterhood, right? Because I think also we inspire each other a lot. Like I am constantly in awe and inspired by you too. I'm always like, that's amazing. I would and to see, I see you as like how you said you're like favorite people. It's like because you have such bright lights, you have so much, and and we know each other in so many ways, and I'm sure there's other things as our day to day, there's so much that goes on. But as an outsider, it's like, wow, and I feel so grateful to be part of that. And I think there's something to be said about that testament of who you're with, right? Like your circle of friends, your support systems. You know, I don't always, you know, you know, like there's times where I'm like, and just the thought of you too, like I'm like, okay, you know what? Si se puede, like vamos, right? And it's just in the thoughts, right? In the feeling the presence or wondering like, what would Anna do? What would Siobhan do? Or just these beautiful moments where, you know, I like to, like we talked about the intrusive thoughts, like intrusive presence, right? Which I appreciate like that when I'm like, oh, that reminds me of Siobhan. That reminds me of Anna. And something, you know, like somatically happens in my body when I you know those it like lights up things and I'm sure if there was like you know and it was an MRI or you know one of those fancy you would see parts of me light up that were not lit up and I think that's a testament to also like our surroundings and the people around us to do that manifestation because like I said initially in the beginning of the episode we can't do it alone we need each other.
Yeah, well, both of you, the energy shifts when you walk into a room in a positive way. It's like, oh, Siobhan's here. Oh, Ellie's here. Okay, we can do this.
Oh.
You smell my essential oils. That's all everybody's like, what is that? Aromatherapy, guys, everybody gets it.
I need to buy some.
And same here, girl. When I see you walk into, you know, like we've gone to like events and I see you, like I'm like, you know, just the big old Kool-Aid smile.
Yes, yes. Well, you know, Ana Rosa was the very first time we met was during a panel during the International Film Festival. And I was like enamored. I was like, who is this lady? We need to be friends.
And we are. It happened.
I know. No, I was in awe of you. And
I was in awe of you too. So the feeling was mutual.
oh, my girl crush. But yeah, it was and you know, when I get around people where I feel like our energy vibes, I'm like, okay, I'm going to see her again. And you know, it's like I know that we're going to be around each other again because it feels like a match. You know, you feel like, oh, I've always known this person somehow. You know, it's like
Another life.
yes, yeah. That's how I feel about you too, is that we've always known each other. People would be like, well, when did you meet Allie? I'm like, I feel like I've always known her. I don't know.
Right? That's
Yeah, because
exactly.
remember there was another episode, Ellie, that we had before we were lucky enough to have Siobhan in the mix, where you said, I feel like our souls signed a contract a long time ago. And
Yes.
like now we're making it come true.
Yes. Yes. Oh yeah, I do believe in past lives. And we've been together for a while.
I know other people feel that too. It's like, you know, for people who are listening, you have those people in your life who you're like, yeah, we've been friends forever. And it's like, yeah, and you always feel like you've always known them, or you know, you can't even remember when you met because you just feel like, oh, our souls are just reconnecting again. You know?
Like, oh, there you are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, with that said, I'm checking up on us and we have an amazing episode and I know it's also time to say see you next time.
And
What do y'all
Wiedersehen.
think?
Sayonara. Adios.
Well, hasta luego, mis corazones. You're listening to KZAA 96.5 FMLP, listening to the wonderful Ana Rosa Rizal, Siobhan Hoover, and Ali Cortez on Que Madre. We'll see you on the next episode.